Malaysia. Of course, Alexis here that, I mean, is hosting, the event. And on my left side, we have Sumesh Menon is founder and CEO of Utopia Mobile. And there is also Frederico Rosato. He's the Senior Vice President managing all the, let's say, APAC region for Digital Virgo. So first of all, welcome, okay? And this session, I hope is going to be very interactive and interesting for all of us, is really analyzing the opportunities and the challenges from a C-level overview, okay? Let's rewind and analyze what we have seen before in the presentation before. Before we had an analysis of payment methods. So the first question, and well, I will start with Sumesh. You have seen different payment methods, so that all of them have pros and cons, etc. But at the end is, payment method needs, is the objective is to monetize, the service, the product that of course your company has. Now, the first question is, on 2026, what is your view on these different payment methods? It's very interesting. You have digital wallet, we have operator wallet, of course, DCB and other method payment. What is your company doing, okay? And where are you betting? What are you doing on this part of the ecosystem?
Absolutely. Thanks, Diego. And thank you, Mef and Diego, for bringing us together. And happy 20th, Alexis. Thanks for turning your office inside out for the event. As a company, we've been tracking this payment space for the last 15 years. I'm ex-telco, so we've been talking about DCB from early days. We were doing TV shows. We did the idle kind of format, where it was P2P SMS, and then it went on to traditional model where the telco was doing a lot of the distribution and payments. And then it moved into a DCB kind of model where the telco is just the payment channel. Over the last 3-4 years, what we are noticing is two seismic shifts, which was actually reflected in what Guillermo was talking about, which is the movement to local methods of payment. Before the COVID era, and before digital transformation took off in such a way, the local methods of payments, the local wallets were still kind of up and coming, and cash was still reigning supreme in a lot of these markets. Both the government incentives, the kind of technologies that were put in place, kind of accelerated the entire adoption of wallets and direct bank transfers like UPI in India, and that actually has now created a massive competing alternative to DCB, which is actually showing in the fact that 80% of transactions are non-card, but only a certain smaller percentage of that is DCB. There are multiple reasons we are seeing on that, and one is just the settlement cycles, right? The settlement cycle on a local payment method or local wallet is T+1, T+2. With telcos, it takes more time. DCB is competing on a percentage basis also, in that LMPs actually have lower cost of MDRs, closer to about 5 to 6% in some markets. Given this, the natural tendency for a lot of players is to start experimenting with ways to get conversions from direct digital wallets. And that's really where our company is focusing in the next 3 to 5 years, in converting a lot of conversations that we're having with telcos and with local payment wallets to provide a single API that allows any digital content CSP partner to integrate and take advantage of these payment rails that have been built in across markets. And we see this happening in Asia first, but another market that we operate heavily in is Africa, and I can see the same trends happening in Africa. There's a lag effect, but when I travel there, things like M-Pesa have been around for a long time in Kenya, but other markets are also picking up. So to answer your question, we see this as a permanent trend. We see this as a shift, and we see this as an opportunity for a lot of digital native companies to leverage markets that don't have very strong banking rails and credit card payment mechanisms. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Sumesh. Now, Fred, how's your, view on this ecosystem? Of course, you have also a great experience not only in Asia but also in Africa. Okay. Plus, I think it's good also to touch base about Europe and other continents. So, how do you see it? And what are you? In which channels are you betting? And what are the constraints you see?
Thank you, Diego, and thanks again, Sam Media, to invite us. And that's annual rendezvous, actually, and I appreciate it very much. I think I didn't know it was only 4 years. I thought it was like maybe 20 years, really, that event, because it seems to be really settled.
But that's the plan. We agreed with Leon. It's going to be for the next 15 years.
Yeah,
we have an agreement.
But I heard something that
I lost him.
20 years ago you were in high school. I was a little bit surprised, but...
No, 20 plus 20.
It doesn't mean you look older, but okay. I was thinking, okay, it's an information for me. You can write history the way you want all the time. To answer your question, I'm quite new in I will say Southeast Asia, because that's really the area where I'm focusing it today. But I've been traveling regularly for the last 3 years, and I've been a little bit, I would say, surprised of the way it was structured. So I was, of course, impressed by the numbers of payment solution which is on the ground today in this world with all these different payment solutions. But us, we are really focusing on how we could. Okay, the first strategy we have at Digital Virgo is always to set up the best relation with telcos. That's the first strategy we have. So we are focusing more on the DCB payment solution because we are really an expert in that field. So we are an expert in order to bring customers value and also to protect the customers in the same time and to generate like long-term, let's say, subscription model with those customers. And then we bring on the table a lot of mechanism beside contents, beside premium content, which are partners with us. Or we bring synergies. Sometimes it can be marketplaces we set up. We can be different OTT platforms. So we bring a lot of solutions among the content itself. So we really understand the telco world, because actually we are coming from the telco world. Before we were a company, we were a telco company owned by SFR, but Telecom Italia. So we are really that background from the telecom industry. So for us, of course, we have to adapt. That's for sure. So for sure, digital wallet is something you cannot avoid in the region. But I will say that the flows are not really adapted yet for some of the content. So we look for no friction. Less friction as possible. But it doesn't mean there's no friction also on DCB, because that's also some of the subjects we're going to have. It's a little bit of lack, I will say, of, the market has its own history. So, and the fact, the history sometimes is not a positive thing because it had a bad history in the past. So in some countries, so some market had some, let's say, bad use of the payment solution. So it occurred so many difficulties. And us, as a new player in the region, we are suffering a little bit about this. So it's a subject we have. So we expect to have a very strong relationship from the telco. But I believe that the telco itself, they don't have a lot of resource. So, and that's a little bit of the lack of the market today. So in this field, DCB itself, you only have 2 or 3 people in front of you among 10,000 people in a telco. So it's a little bit not enough to control the market and to secure it and to go to where Leon mentioned, it's about trust. So we need to bring trust to customer, but the trust to customers it's not only our own responsibility, it's also the telco responsibility. But we're working with, okay. So what we're looking for, of course, is to settle very strong partnership with the telcos, but not only. And we are also looking to expand in digital wallet a lot, actually. It's a field where I'm working a lot today, but still it doesn't have, I would say, the right, let's say, flow, which we are working as we have.
The user experience,
the user experience is not really adapted. It is better in some countries, like actually in some countries in Africa today. We have very good experience. And I will say also we have a good experience we had just lately with the AFCON. AFCON is the African Cup of Nations. So we had a very big, aggressive service among different telco. We reached 12 million users, unique users, subscription. So it's very huge for few countries. And this is the success we've been building up with DCB, but also digital wallet and different payment solutions and different partnerships. So that's what we're looking for to do also in Southeast Asia.
Thanks, Fred. So I turn to my right here, and I would like to have your view and opinion. And there is also one point, because we're talking about digital wallet, but inside digital wallet we have, of course, alternate payment method, but we also have operator wallet in some country. Because, I mean, don't forget, we have TCB, the operator wallet. So the same operator, okay, has the two type of method. So how's your view on this? How is it working? And what is going to be the next step for your company?
No, I agree with what Sumesh and Frederico said, but we as a merchant, we focus on our products. We have catchy consumer products, and we want to market them to consumers worldwide, and also offer the users a convenient billing method. Marketing-wise, it's important that we can target or advertise to all the consumers in a country, in a specific market, and then those users can pay in a convenient way, in a user-friendly way, in a safe way, in a trusted way. That's our starting point, so from the product perspective. Traditionally, DCB has been a very efficient payment method because, first of all, penetration almost 100%. Anyone with a phone can pay via the mobile phone, either SMS, now DCB. And so the penetration is almost 100%. It's quite seamless. And the carriers collect the money and then pay us. Yes, it's a costly payment method, so that's a challenge. That's also why Apple and Google do not work with carrier payment in every market. But now, so there are no real alternatives for small recurring payments. Now, increasingly in Southeast Asia, as Guillermo showed, but also in Africa already for a longer time, with some fundamental differences, because in Africa it's the first payment method for most people, not an additional, but still, in Southeast Asia it's also becoming very strong. So there's more and more competition of alternative payment methods, but also competition for the merchants like us. So we have alternatives to carrier billing. So it's actually a wake-up call, and that's also something for today, a wake-up call for the carrier billing industry to make sure that we stay and remain competitive as opposed to other payment methods. And it's about the penetration. Well, that's growing for others. Even Apple Pay, some markets, it's already a high penetration, but also, as mentioned before, the percentage of payout is higher. Carriers take a larger cut. Of course, they provide some additional services, but the payout is higher. The payment cycles, which is also a thing, because we advertise on Google, we need to pay Google next month. But if it takes 6 months to receive the revenue, then that's a cash flow burden on us, which we are used to. But if we have an option where we get paid within 1 month, like with credit cards, for instance, or Apple Pay, which of course it's only the middle layer. I'm not talking about the App Store billing here, but Apple Pay as the middleman between a card company, debit or credit, and the consumer. So yeah, more and more of these alternatives. And Apple has done a fantastic job in making the payment flow or the opt-in flow very seamless. So it's not that you have to fill in all your credit card details. No, it's also a double click on your phone if it's iPhone. So there are several reasons why alternative payment methods become more competitive. And again, it's a wake-up call for the DCB industry. It's still very powerful and it's still very strong and competitive, but we need to keep it that way. And then there's still a lot of opportunity for growth for DCB, also outside of digital goods. But yeah, so that is, I think, our view on it. Again, from a product perspective, we are not focused only on carriers. We offer users different payment methods, be it carrier billing, be it another option, if that works better for us and for the consumer.
Thanks, Alexis. I would like to stay with you because I think we started from analyzing the payment angle, but as you said, the core is not, I mean, if you look at it from a consumer point of view, I mean, the payment method is a consequence, of course, but the key part, okay, is, let's say, the service, the digital content can be, physical content, etc. They want to buy something, and then, of course, they use a payment. So my question, I have 2 questions for you, okay, first. One is, how do you see what is the trend for 2023, 2027 on the digital content? What is your company focusing on? I'm talking about, when I talk content, it's services, of course. And, of course, there is also an ecosystem. The second question is there's an ecosystem, there's operator, there is a regulatory, etc. If you had a magic stick, what would you ask to the ecosystem? Okay, what do you would like to have to improve the ecosystem? These are the 2 questions. Content focus or service focus, and then the magic stick question.
Well, content focus, I think consumers, there's, of course, it's the era of AI. With AI, it's relatively easy to generate content, but then also every consumer can do it him or herself with all the available tools. So you need to add value there. If you just offer ChatGPT to consumer, then you don't add any value. But if you build something around it that helps the consumer do something that he or she likes, then that can sell. And you see quite some apps already, like you can generate music. Of course, that's also an area in terms of rights that is a little bit of tricky. But then it's very focused. So it's like an agent, but focused on something specific that you like. We almost complete a product that does something really, really cool using all sorts of AI APIs, but then translate it in something that helps the consumer to do something really cool and share that with their friends. I won't share more details, but stay tuned. On the magic stick, I think again we will use payment methods that work best for the consumer and for us. So for consumer, it means trusted, smooth process, supporting our type of marketing. But for us also, in terms of the payment cycles, the cost of the payment method. And as an industry, now again back to DCB or carrier environment, I think we can do more to provide a unified payment method that consumers trust to in every market. So instead of each carrier alone as an industry, I think if we work together and we offer that, because you also need to think, who are we competing with? Are we competing with each other? Yes, we need a level playing field. We're happy to compete with Utopia Mobile and Digital Virgo and others. But first, as an industry, we compete with other payment methods. So let's make DCB competitive. And it's not magic, but it still requires some work. So let's work together doing that. It will benefit everyone.
Thanks, Alexis. I pass the magic stick to Fred. What would you like to have from, the operator or the ecosystem, and especially in the region? And of course, on which service are you betting on 2026?
Yeah, I'm following up on what
please.
said Alexis, obviously, and magic stick will be that rules can be very well established, well written, well known, and followed by everyone. So that's a world where it's, let's say, organized and structured, which is not the case.
That's Switzerland.
Yeah, that's Switzerland, but yes, but it's not here for sure. But it's also because of history. So each country has a different history. You have a lot of situation of big corruption. It's a big word, but it's a reality, even in this country with big people. So of course, it scared a lot of people working in some industries when there is a control, when there is a risk. And the problem of the management of the risk is not really on the end of the right stakeholder, I believe. So for us, when you talk about trust, it's important that the user is protected 100%. We need to protect the users, but we also need to have a situation which protects also all the other stakeholders. I remember very well, I was much older than Alexis, in 1992 in Italy, and I was really leading the market there with Audiotel in that time, so voice services, and we got this comic coming on TV, which has actually become a very famous political guy. He found a big party, which is La Lega, and this guy name is Pepe Grillo, so you probably remember, and he went on TV and he attacked actually indirectly the business, showing a number, the prefix number, which was 144 in that time, and he said at a big show on television, national television, we have a big problem in this country, okay? And he said, okay, we have the big problem, which was this number. So these things that showed that he tried to attack, actually, finally he attacked someone else because he attacked, okay, I will not go in detail, but he attacked a big name in this country, but nothing to relate it to this business. But it was related because he attacked the financial holding of the country, which was like the hedge fund, I would say the sovereign fund, which was also controlling the telco in that time, was only one telco. And in order to attack that person, he attacked one thing which was a little bit fragile. And it showed that it was fragile because the day after was more than 150 articles all over the media, and 2 days later, the market stopped totally. So at that time, we're doing $30 million in that country. In one country, on the time of local money. So today it will be 300 million. So it's just huge. So one day to the other, the market was stopped because someone claimed something which was wrong, and it shows that the market was very fragile. That's what I mean before. So the market was so fragile that it stopped everything. So imagine you have people. We had 120 people in Milano in that time. So one day to the other, what are you going to do with 120 people? Because, okay, so what happened was very nice, actually. So we unify. We create an association, professional. We create a kind of union, in order to talk the same word. And we defend ourselves. So it was good because actually the other players in that market were all the big media players, so big corporations. So they had the capacity to invest and to dedicate people and energy. So, but what I mean is that what's more important for me is to have a business which is well structured, again, and strong enough, which is, I think, in some cases, not really the real, even in most of the country in Asia that I've been. So it's a little bit fragile. And it's a little bit scary in some cases because the level of risk, which doesn't depend on your action, can be very high. So, said this, my fear is to be in a situation where the day next to tomorrow, someone say, okay, we have to change all the rules which were established, but we change it all. And then everything you've been doing, investment you've been doing, investment also in advertising that you need to, with a long-term ROI, you will lose your money. So that's a little bit the scary part of it.
Thanks, Fred. Good point, and I think that the association and the code of conduct and building things locally, it's very important. But going now to Sumesh, you have a great experience, I mean, also in a lot of Asian country, in Southeast Asia, in India, etc. How's your view on this? I mean, what are your comments on?
No, I'm echoing what
Yes.
Alexis is saying and what Frederico is saying. Very good point on being fragile. I think markets change very quickly. We've been in the industry for a long time. We've seen it evolve, but it would be foolhardy to think that there's a level of permanence. The same thing will continue forever, right? And as an industry, we need to adapt to how the market is moving, how the regulators are thinking, how to win back trust with both the carrier community and the user. So there are many things that we need to do as an industry that slowly brings that back. We need to recoup it because there is a certain level of fragility across all the markets that we work with. And we've seen decisions being made overnight in the interest of protecting market share. We are an industry that grew when all the telcos were growing, and they were actively looking at user acquisition, and growth was coming from market share growth, from selling more SIMs in the market. The telecom industry per se on the consumer side has reached a certain level of saturation. Everybody's market shares are tight. They report the same numbers year on year, and ARPU growth is also limited. So now anything that erodes trust and actually makes one operator move to the other essentially is a big deal. It wasn't probably a big deal 10 years ago because you could go and open up another tower in another town and get more people. But today it's a big deal. So, and we are part of that ecosystem that kind of keeps that trust. So from that perspective, I think there's a lot of responsibility on us, on the carriers, to find a way to keep this industry, as far as DCB and carrier billing is concerned, in a very sustainable and competitive manner. Sustainable in that it's controlled, it's compliant, it is keeping the user first mindset, and competitive in that you are competing with alternative payments methods. You are competing with, like Alexis said, a cash flow situation that somebody's investing in. So, how do you keep the margins in such a way that the content partner is able to sustain and grow this over a period of time and not looking for any kind of shortcut? So that's on the fragility side. On the product side, as a business, we are not looking at investing and building any more products into the next few years. We are actually moving back to a pure platform play. And our objective is there is a lot of innovation happening in the market. There are a lot of people who are building every day, basically because operators are demanding very hyper-local solutions. Yeah. We work in Namibia, and my team is there, and they are even Namibian. There's 3 million subscribers in that operator, but they're like, can you give me something that's super hyper-local here? So for us to go and generate content and create all that for a specific market like Namibia is complicated. So we have to go and find innovators in that market who have the content, who have already done the hard work, and who are looking for a platform to be able to roll it out through telco. So our approach is more moving to platform. And the way we look for inspiration, and my team was doing this exercise, 10 years ago, the way we look for inspiration in terms of what products are selling is actually go to there are some sites like App Annie, which is now Data AI, that tells you which are the top grossing apps on the App Store. 5 years ago when I checked it, it was Tinder, right, across the globe. Tinder was the #1 selling. So dating as an app category was big and would have done very well. And it is still a big contributor in DCB. Can you guess what it is today? It's OpenAI. So ChatGPT is the top grossing app in countries like Sri Lanka, in countries like Zimbabwe. And that's probably giving you an answer as to what people are paying for willingly, right? And so those are the kind of partners that we want to go and find, right? So fragility on the product side, I hope I answered that.
Thanks, Sumesh. I have a last question because I think time is running up. I think it's a question, business is going very fast. Digital transformation is, moving quite quickly. But the real question to you, Alexis, is how do you develop future leader for your company? What are because things are, from a technology point of view, from a business point of view, are going very fast. And what are your plans from a human investment because as you were saying, time goes on and people get older. Okay, that's a good. It's important. But how you build future leader for your company? What are that's a real big important investment that you do.
Yeah, I think there's different ways to look at it. Of course, in terms of young people, graduates, there might be less opportunities in some countries already. You see there's less jobs for fresh grads because those are typically things done first by AI. But you can argue that's not a smart thing because these people need to learn. They need to feet in the dirt, in the mud, and learn the ropes before growing. So that might be a bigger concern in terms of societies. As a company, I think what's important, the people are still key, no matter what technology, but people need to learn, need to develop. So what we do is we give people a lot of freedom. You tell them what you expect, but not how to do it. They need to figure out, they need to fail, they need to learn. As long as that's happening, then they're developing their learning. And it also attracts people that flourish in that kind of environment. It's not right or wrong, but some bigger corporations, corporates that have everything defined in rules and processes and job profiles, that's a good fit for certain people, not for some media. In some media, we expect entrepreneurial spirit. It's like a sort of fuzzy, okay, this is the direction, but within that direction, you need to find out the best way. And we need to find out the best way by trying, quickly, experimenting, failing, learning. So people that learn to think independently, critically, those are the ones that eventually can lead. And yeah, that's what we try to encourage.
Thanks. Sumesh, what is, on people, yes, on young people, because that's the big bet.
It's a very touchy topic when you talk about hiring Gen Z and very ambitious. We see a lot of people straight out of college wanting to be the CEO next day. There is a shortcut to that. Is what they probably have been. There's a lot of Instagram videos about how somebody sitting out of college was able to make a few $100,000 just drop shipping or so. Everybody's expectations are very high, thanks to Mark Zuckerberg and everyone else, right? We tend to be very real with. We are looking at hiring fresh young talent. We think they can bring a new perspective to our business. It's sometimes we've been doing something in a particular way for a long time. It's always good to get an alternative view. And also, they are consumers today. They're the ones who are consuming the content. They're the ones who are consuming the app. So they are also able to give a little bit of perspective in terms of what is working, what's not working. We invest heavily in training them. It's very difficult to hire parallelly in this industry. We are all kind of been in the market for a long time, so hiring parallelly is difficult. So we always, go fresh, bring a lot of trainees on board, and then, see if they start loving the the job and the opportunity and the ability to go and meet people in different cultures and work on that. So yeah, investing heavily in that, investing heavily on the tech and development side, because we, as I mentioned before, we are a platform play now on the carrier building side, on the messaging side. So a lot of new innovation that's happening around core infrastructure level work. Right.
Thanks. Fred,
Question to me.
you of course, I mean, you have a great experience,
Diego, I want to
in-
say something. You're fantastic because I've been preparing so many notes and none of the question you asked me to answer.
I did it on purpose.
But you know what? I like it very much because it's more easy. But you really, I appreciate very much. But thank you very much. Actually, I like it more. Now, for us, it's of course, it's a challenge of daily challenge. We have that all the time. So we have to recruit people all over the world. Today, we cover 50 countries, but with 35 offices. So we are around 820 people. So it means that, of course, we have to, and we are growing. So last year was the best year we never had. So we did $500 million. So good year with the big EBITDA. So we are growing and we need to grow more. We want to double very soon. So within the next 5 years. So this means that, of course, we need to invest a lot and we need new blood. And new blood is, of course, difficult depending where it has to be. I would say in general, profile is kind of easy, not too much difficult, but it's becoming very difficult in the IT part, which is the biggest part in our site. So we have today more than 300 developers. So it means that it is difficult to find the right one and the right one which fit in the new world, because this is a new world. The way you develop is totally different also. We have AI tools everywhere. So the way we think, the way we check, the quality of what we want to deliver and the speed we want to go, of course, has to improve. And it's not really easy. So of course, in the IT, especially because we have many people in France, but also we have in Morocco, we have in Poland, we have in Italy also. This is where we have the most of the developers. It's difficult. So maybe that's why also it's an area of development Asia for us, because there we can have more people. We've been recruiting some in Vietnam, and the level is very, very good. So, but we just need to improve our organization in order to train them. But we are working on this. So the idea is really to expand and go in other area. I mean, of the world, to have the right people with the right profile.
Thank you very much. So, Alexis, thanks. Sumesh and Fred. I think the session is just ended. So, thanks to everyone. I don't know if you have any question, or I call first Matt to come on stage and do a Q&A. I don't know if, or we skip it for later for a break. Let's then we have one-on-one chat on that.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys.